So I'll just throw, I don't know what I'll throw. I was thinking I'd throw like a big bowl, but I could throw, I've been making like crock type, like wide and tall. It's not, a bowl. Or it's a little bit, my bat's not quite big enough for a platter, but I can make another one. I brought a bigger bat in case. But to show you guys how I center this much clay.
You work on the back side. You pull that towards you.
I'll push it away from me in a second. I do. This is my centering is pulling my fingers towards my palm. I've used very little of this part of my hand. It's here and here. But like your grip strength, using your grip strength to smooth the clay out. And then I'm also pulling from like my elbow backwards. I teach so many students how to, every semester I have like 11 to 12, 13 students that I'm teaching how to center the clay. And I've been doing that for almost 15 years at Guilford. And so I've watched a lot of students go through this, and typically what you see is they all want to do this, it's like push in there, or they're like, it's like they're grabbing it and kind of moving it towards the middle, and I try to teach them it's like, that's not, if I asked you to help me move like my file cabinet in my office, you wouldn't go to it and stand beside it and push as hard as you could. You'd either like push it or you'd pull it. And then within your hand, your greatest strength is pulling your fingers towards your palm. It's not, like this part of your hand is relatively weak compared to your ability to like pull clay towards your palm. And so it's always this, and this, and never this. That's a...
Either pull towards you or push.
Either pull towards you or push it away. So the two ways I teach them is that, here, when I get this lower, I show you both of them. And then when I'm throwing something this big, I just lean into it. So I push it off away from me with both hands. And then, so I'm just going to squeeze with this, between my palm and my fingers, with both hands out here. And for something large like this, I'll try to center that bottom area, and then I'll come in and I'll try to center this top area. And I kind of think about them as separate pieces to center. And then push that down, forward and down with this part of my hand, leaning into it. So the other way is to grab around my thumb and to lean into the clay and push down on the top with this part of my hand and forward with that part of the hand. This is a little bit big for me to do that, but I'll do that with like 6 pounds. I hope this goes well. I'm glad that you have that confidence.
Yeah, one thing, when I was working with Ben, and he was helping me learn to center big pieces, is because I'm not as strong as some people, and everybody has their strengths. He said, and this made a lot of sense, if your wheel is turning too fast, you can't control how much you're pushing, so it's better to center a little slower.
Yeah.
I always thought you had to speed as fast as you can to get the thing up, but I was actually doing it wrong, and slowing the wheel down gave me better push control. Centering it. That helped me a lot.
Have you guys ever met Kevin Crow or seen his work or know who he is? He built the kiln up at Penland. His son went to Guilford, and at some point I talked to him and he said, hey, my son's at Guilford. I'd love to give something to college, but you know, it'd be much easier for me to give you a workshop than like financially do something for the college, but I'd love to come down, give a workshop to your kids. And so over a couple years, he came down 2 or 3 times, or 3, I guess 3, and did workshops. And one of them was a full weekend workshop, and that didn't work so well because college students, full weekend workshop, not so good. So then I would just get him to come down in the afternoon and do something. But I watched him throw, I don't know how much, 40 pounds of clay, like at least 25, if not like 40 pounds of clay. And he started off this thing and it was off center and stuff. And he was right-handed, but he would work on the left side. He would kind of like lock his palm in on the outside and use his thumb on the inside with a sponge and run his hand up. And it would basically center the clay when it was really thick. Center the clay as he was throwing these big vessels. And then he would add coils to it. But like this one, you can see on the inside it's pretty centered, but on the outside it's off, right down at the bottom. I'm hoping I don't have an air bubble on the floor. But I've got to really open this up if I'm going to make a big bowl. I can't have this bottom be too deep. And so I learned it's hard to do that, but it taught me something about maybe even like pushing that clay back in and just recentering the clay on this side and then recentering the rim. And the other thing is to just come down and peel it away. Or just not let it bother you if you're in the throwing. So I just kind of try to squeeze it up, and while the clay is thick, leave it thick in most areas and just try to get it up to the top, that wobble up to the top, and take it out of the process. Don't let it define the pot. I know it's harder to do when you're starting out and we feel like it's already a struggle to throw that much clay. So I had been doing just about everything, just cutting it square, rectangular, cutting it. But I've started to leave a little bit of a thick rim up here and throw, I know what I'll do. I'll do something I'll roll the rim of the pot. That'll be fun. So I'll roll the clay over on the rim of this one. I'll probably kill it doing it, but I'll do it. The other thing is, down here, if I've got clay that somehow has gotten out here, I'll get that off so that when I push into the bottom, I don't have, the clay is not pushing my hand around. And yesterday I talked about that analogy, and I use this for my students because I just feel like they'll remember it better because it's kind of funny and silly. But the middle school dance of where this outside hand's the boy, and he's going to walk across the room, and the girl's going to wait, and then she's going to come to meet him, and then they'll dance across the floor together. But that she doesn't want to go running out to meet him in the middle of the floor because she'll be embarrassed if he's coming over to talk to her friend. And in middle school, you're just embarrassed about everything anyway, so. So I push in here, and then that inside hand comes out, and then the pressure starts to build. And they come together. And that's where I'm moving some clay up through this part of the pot. And I like to take that slip and put it right back on. So again, I won't push in anymore because I'm going to get this wide, but I'm going to come out and push out towards that outside finger and start to lengthen that inside wall and floor. Put some volume in this corner. And right now I've got my arm braced, my elbow braced into my side over here on my left hand or my right hand, and I'm just really trying to just hold steady as I push that clay out against that hand to form this wall. I might be able to pull this one more time. I would be more apt to like really get this thin at home, but here on camera, I don't know if I wanted to. Yeah. The clock. You'll just see the clock change. You'll lose a half an hour in the taping. What happened there? So with all this cutting of the rims and stuff, I was up at a show that I do out of my dad's house every fall, and there was a guy who was buying something, and he just made some comment. It was like, "Wow, you know how to take like a $100 bowl and cut that down to a $60 bowl pretty quick." It's like, yeah, all this added time makes it smaller. And so I'll roll the rim on this one inward, and I'll take what would be like a really large bowl and turn it into like a slightly large bowl. Just like that. Take 2 inches out of your pot. All right, so again, I'll pull up this Cheryl rib for the bottom, and then I've got this other big one that I'll use. I'm just getting the slip off. I'm trying to smooth it out. I've got some finger marks in here that I would like to get rid of, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get rid of all of them. And I'm also just expanding this part of the bowl out. That as I can't, it's hard to throw and get that really full down here without it wanting to collapse as you get up towards the top. And I'm keeping this narrow up in. Oh, torch, like use a torch on it for, what would it do? What would I get out of that? Yeah, you know what, I don't use a torch like that. I have, as I was photographing my damp closet today, I was like, oh, there's that torch I bought from Southern States a year and a half ago or 2 years ago that I've never opened up. You know, hooks up to a propane tank. I was thinking I was going to start making some big pots and need a torch to do them, but for whatever reason, I don't know, it just hasn't fit in. I've done it for big pots, but never on the smaller stuff. But I know potters who do, and it seems like a good idea, right? To like stretch the clay further. These ribs are great. I wish they made them in stainless steel. Does anybody know if you can get a stainless steel one of these? They rust, and so I'm always forgetting to clean it off at the end of a day.
So you use just primarily metal ribs?
Yeah, I don't have any wooden ribs that I use with any regularity to shape. I don't have anything against them. It's just, where did I get this? I think you can get them at high water. I think most clay supplies have these guys. It's a pretty rigid rib. It's a more rigid than the thin ones that you get in the kits. But I'll spend some time on this curve trying to push this out. So if I'm going to roll this rim, I should do it before it gets too far out. I'll lose it.
Did you see that article on making ribs out of clay?
Out of clay? I didn't see that article.
It was, I don't know what magazine I saw it on. Maybe it was online. But it made a lot of sense. It's just like anything you would just make your own shapes.
How would you get the fine edge?
He was talking about, yeah, he was talking about using some sort of tool, like, you know, like what you would do on the rim of a bowl or something. I don't think so.
All right, I'm going to start forcing this lip in to try to roll this. I hope it doesn't fall on me. I should have not stretched it out as far. I don't know if I can get this to go over as much as I want it to.
Always change your mind.
Try to shave a little bit of this stuff off here. It's just getting worse and worse as I go. Yeah, I'm going to need a sharper rib. Oh, yeah.
Not just
All right, let's see. I want it, not having any slip on this is kind of important in that I don't really want to stick it together with slip because then it can crack. I'm going to get it over and it's just going to fall in at some point in a good way. Not in like a bad, I just destroyed my pot way, I hope. Is it going over further and further? How about the edge? Is the edge dropping down some? A little bit. Maybe be able to encourage this with a rib. Yeah, I do. I'm getting this like little spot in here. I think I can get it out with a rib. And then it'll help me get this over. A little bit better. Oh wow, what was that? Just found something in the clay. I better fold this lip over and cover that up. I've never done this on something so big. I've always done it on something much smaller. Just got to get it to go over a little bit more. Need to be wet all across here. All right. Yeah, I did not think that was going to happen at the end there.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
So I had my doubts there for a minute. So then I got to just stretch this a little bit further. I'm still not out of the woods yet. But all right, where's my piece of plastic? Long piece of plastic here. I can clean up this line a little bit. But yeah, it went from being like a really huge boulder, now it's like, it's pretty big. It's certainly not small.
So how do you know that you don't have air bubbles?
Oh, I do. I have a big air bubble. I'll have to poke some holes in it before it goes too far. You know what? The other thing I might do before I do that is just take a rib this outer edge a little bit and try to straighten that up. I don't like how I get this like little divot right here, but I don't know if I can. There we go. It's a little bit better. And then I can take this rib or this plastic to it. Make it all nice and shiny. And I might work on it just one more time with the rib. Hopefully I won't kill it. It's like, how far can I stretch it to match the bottom up with the top? That's what I feel like I'm doing, is trying to get this line to not come outward, but to go up.
So will any type of plastic work for what you're doing?
I like dry cleaning plastic. You can use like the plastic that clay comes in. High Water has a thinner one than Laguna. And that high water plastic might be okay, but the Laguna, I think, when you fold it over, will get creases, or like will get a corner in it when you try to bend it really far, whereas this dry cleaning plastic won't.
So dry cleaning plastic is the bag that your dry cleaning comes in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, you know, someone who's never had dry cleaning.
No, I get it from my neighbors. My respectable neighbors have dry cleaning. Okay, I'm going to do something that might seem a little bit crazy now.
Is that how you seal it?
Let's see, where's my bat pen? I use my bat pen as a guide. This I'll smooth out when I can just drag a rib across there when it's leather hardened and smooth that right out. Does that seem like they're across from each other about? In fact, I'll pull a rib across there right now just so we can see aesthetically. I didn't think I'd be doing this today.
Would you normally do this wet or like in your studio?
I would roll that wet. I'd really love to roll this here too. I don't think the bowl will, and have these like sort of peaks. I don't know, do you think the bowl can handle it? I better not. I feel like things have already gone my way more than they probably should have. This is good. It's been a little while since I've made a bowl this with a rolled rim that's this large, or the first time I've ever made one this large. All right, thank you. So this is just a little bit softer than the yellow one. Do these things, if you guys have them in the studio, they just disappear? I feel like they're always trying to get back home to Michael Sherrill because they just leave. They just leave our studio like nothing else. He's made some incredible tools, hasn't he? And you just think like, why did it take so long for somebody to make really good different tools? Maybe people do, we just don't get to see them. They just don't make them into the marketplace like his did. I try to clean off my bats as much as I can before I take them off the wheel, because I just feel like in order to keep clay dust down, that some of the easiest things to do are to like little chunks of clay falling off of things. So I'll poke holes in this at some point, or else it'll open up along this bottom edge here where I rolled it in. And I wouldn't mind if this pulled up slightly, so I'll let it just air dry. That edge where I rolled them together, I'll go back and touch that up with just get in there and compact it so it doesn't crack later.